Hey there, so welcome to Literary Theory and Criticism. In today's video, we are going to discuss all about the literary theory called Postmodernism. So, postmodernism broadly refers to a social cultural literary theory that has manifested in variety of disciplines including the art, architecture, literature, fashion, and technology. The beginning of the postmodernism we can say goes in the late 1950s and it is probably still continuing. The term modernism has an earlier aesthetic movement which was in vogue in early decades of the 20th century. Postmodernism is an offshoot of modernism. So this literary theory of postmodernism shares many of the features of the modernism. So what are the similar features? Let's have a look at them. The very first feature is that the both schools reject the right boundaries between high and low art. If you don't know what is high and low art is, let me tell you. High art is a term used to describe most aesthetic pleasing and challenging work of art, and this kind of work appreciated by those with most cultivated taste. So just the opposite of this, low art is a term used to describe about the work that was not challenging or aesthetic pleasing. Low work art is for masses, something which is easily comprehended. So both these school, postmodernism and modernism, they both just not only reject the boundaries between high and low art. Postmodernism even goes a step further and deliberately mixes low art with high art, like the past with the future, or one genre with another. Such mixing of different elements illustrate postmodernism use of light-hearted parody. Another similar feature we find in postmodernism, modern school, is that both these schools also employ pastiches. Pastiches actually is imitation, imitation of the another style. These imitations serve to remind the reader that the work is not real but fictional and do not easily convey a solid meaning. These ways are consciously ambiguous and give way to multiple meaning or interpretation. The individual or subject depicted in these work is often decentered without central meaning. Third is that modernism and postmodernism give voice to insecurity, disorientation, and fragmentation of the 20th century Western world. After the World War First and Second, the Western world began to experience this deep sense of insecurity, fragmentation, and disorientation. Modernism and postmodernism employ fragmentation, discontinuity in theme and technique. The basic dissimilarity between the two schools is hidden in this very aspect. Modernism projects the fragmentation and laments the loss of unity and center of life and lost meaning in the modern life. Just like Eliot laments that the modern world is an infertile wasteland. On the other hand, postmodernism is no longer tragic. Postmodernism celebrates the fragmentation on. There is a point where postmodernism meets poststructuralism. Both postmodernism and poststructuralism recognize and accept that it is not possible to have a coherent center. In the term of Derrida, the center is constantly moving toward periphery and periphery moving towards center. So thus the center is becoming powerless and periphery continually tries to acquire power. As a result, it can be argued that there never a center. This is what postmodernism exactly say. Postmodernism say that there is no center, but they celebrate this decenteredness as this is the only possible way of existence. The French philosopher Baudrillard conceptualized the postmodern surface culture as simulacrum. A simulacrum is an artificial or fake reality, so it is merely an imitation or duplication. It is the substitution of the original by fake image. For example, you when you can have the picture of Mona Lisa on your computer screen, you won't go to France just to get it, right? So here Baudrillard is not merely suggesting that postmodernism and the world of postmodern is artificial. He's just implying that we have lost the capacity to discriminate between the real and artificial. Frederick Jameson has related modernism and postmodernism to first, second, and third phase of capitalism. The first phase of capitalism occurred in 18th and 19th century is called market capitalism that witnessed technological development. The second phase of 20th century, in this phase there was a development of electrical devices and witnessed monopoly. In the third phase there was a rise of postmodernism era. There is a consumer capitalism, nuclear and electronic technology, more emphasis on protection and dehumanized and globalized world that wipes out individual and national identities. In literature, postmodernism relying heavily on fragmentation, deconstruction, playfulness, questionable narrators, etc., reacted against the Enlightenment ideas also. Literature reached its peak in the 1960s and 70s with the publication of Catch 22, American Nights, and In Cold Blood, and the Satanic Verses of 1988, considered to be the last great novel of the postmodern era. Distinction between high and low culture is also attached with the combination of multiple cultural elements, including subjects and genre. Postmodernism literature can be considered as an umbrella term for post World War development in literature, such as theater absurd, beat generation, and magical realism. In spite of the rather stretched cynical arguments of postmodernism, the theory has exerted a fundamental influence on late 20th century thought. So, this is all about postmodernism. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope that this video was informative.